Hello friends, welcome to my channel. My name's Jen and today I want to do some mermaid nails. So I've left one to do with you. They are going to look extremely crazy because I'll just get a vision of what I kind of want to do and I just attempt to make it happen, and I do things in the most weird, crazy, complicated way. But I'm going to do this one with you. Okay, so I have Paparazzi and Lakeside Breeze, which is what is on this one. And then I also have Color Vibe and Rowdy. So this one was going to be too dark. This one was going to be too light. So I decided I'm going to do a mixture of them. And instead of doing it like on a sponge or something, I plopped them on there and swirled them together. And I do realize this doesn't make a lot of sense, but I don't know how to explain what I wanted, like, not just like one smooth color. That's what I'm trying to say. So then I just went blah, 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 until it gets the way I want. Also, you gotta make that sound when you do it too. Okay, so I'm gonna give this just a second and we're gonna add a little bit more here, but you know what, let me get a little bit more of the dark. I think that needs just a little bit. And then after it sits for a minute, I'm gonna touch up. Okay, so I'm gonna take just a little bit of Rowdy and just put a little bit here and there over parts of the white areas. So I do prefer the tapping just because I don't want it, like I said, to be too smooth as far as like a solid color. Okay, so let it set some more and I'm going to apply this top coat just to kind of set it. And sometimes, I'll let the top come off. Sometimes it can help to, like, how do I explain that? Smear things together, but I don't think it really did it on these. But I'm still using it just to set it. I don't know, it's just, my first intention was to kind of smear it a bit, but since it didn't really do that, I don't know, I'm still just going to go ahead anyway because I did the other ones. And I'm going to give that a minute. Okay, and because they are mermaid nails, they are going to get the sparkly bits from Color Vibe and Lunar. You guys know I love this color. And I did apply that one more time, and we are like this. Okay, so I do want to start with picking up the mermaids, but I was going to let you guys know that Maniology had put their cherry blossom stampers on sale. So sis did go ahead and get those because my poor stampers, y'all know, was well loved. But what I was going to say is if you just get this part, because they have replacements of just this, those are $4, but for the sale the whole thing was $5, so I figured I might as well just get the whole thing because the other ones did have some acetone damage. I don't know, it just happened somehow, but these will probably, I'm sure it'll get the same way, but it is what it is. I try to be careful with them, but this will be my first time to use them. Now the only thing I'm gonna say is I do notice a little bit of things here and there, like I don't know, like, okay, that, see that thing, little mark thing, I don't know if that's a ping or if that's just like some fuzz on the stamper. I didn't wash them when I originally started this. I did, but because it does mention that in the instructions, but I have found that you don't necessarily need to do that. So I'm going to see how they do without me doing that. So therefore, I don't know if that's a ping that was already on there, which I don't know how would happen, or if it's fuzz. I know I'm going into a long explanation, but I just wanted you to know what's going on. But look, now you'll be able to see through, at least for now, guys. And I got a couple different plates I want to use here. And first plate is going to be Maniology M057, and I want to get this mermaid here. I like her. So because I can reverse stamp most of her, I'm just going to go ahead and pick her up with my favorite Maniology Acorn B498. And I'll explain to you, friends, in just a minute what I've been up to and my nails. Okay, I'm going to get all those extra pieces off here in just a minute. Alright, and my next plate is going to be from Black Cat Stamping. It does come with this paper, so let me turn it so we can see better. So we're going to get a few of these mermaids and some other things. So the ones I'm planning on using, some of them have, so like this one, has a solid tail and solid hair. So I'm not going to worry too much about the hair. I'm going to try to attempt to work over it at the end. But the tail, I'm going to basically try to pick up the upper portion in Acorn, and the lower portions of the solids I'm going to pick up in a color, a different color. That way in the end it'll all work better together versus just having all Acorn. I hope I make sense. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one, but I'm going to go ahead and just do all of her with Acorn, and again later on do something over her hair to somewhat give it some color. It's just going to be easier to do it with Acorn, except for again those solid ones. Part of her tail didn't get on there, but it's super thin on that line. Let me try and get it to where you could see. So it's not really picking up very well. I'll go ahead and try one more time and see if I can't get it better, and I'll be back. Okay, so yeah, it's still missing that side piece, and it might have helped the tail a baby pinch, but not much. So I'm just going to work with it. Okay, so I'm going to move to this one. Again, upper portion I'm going to do Acorn, bottom portion, because it's a solid, I'm going to go to Maniology's Ocean Floor B483. A little bit much. And I'm going to turn it to swap. That way I hopefully don't mix the colors too much. And I can work with that. And again, I'll get the extras off. And then I'm going to also pick up this one, and I'm going to do upper portion Acorn, bottom portion in Maniology's Viola B303. And also this one has like some little doodads coming off her tail. I'm going to take those off. I don't want those there. So this piece and this piece. And then I'll get those others. Okay, so for this one's hair, because there is some spacing, I'm going to use Kenny Mayo 941, and I still may end up doing some extra once placed. So there won't be too much to reverse stamp. I'm trying to figure out what that is. I'm not quite sure if it's hair or part of her arm, because her arm is bent. Let me hold off on that part. And I'm going to bring this one in, move that one over, and for hers do new color 997. Okay, and I'm going to take Sally Hansen Insta Dry Instant Coffee 138 for the rest of her. And the space on her tail, like where it's like you know how like a see-through fin, I'm just going to leave it. I thought about putting something like a sheer tone, but I don't think it's going to show up anyway, so I'm just going to leave it as is. Now their tops, you can't barely see them, so I don't know if I'm going to mess with that. I'm just going to go ahead and color it all in, and I can always create a top if I want to once placed. Okay, look at this one. And we'll look at this one. And for this one, her tail, we're going to do with LA Colors Color Mania in Culture. And this one does have like some ears on her. That's what that is right there. So I have to be careful because this is the one that didn't get the, oh, that line didn't pick up. So for her tail, well, I can see one fin. I don't know if I'm just gonna add some at least. Maybe leave the other part open. And that way it's somewhat like those other two. Okay, for this one's skin tone color, I'm going to use that new color tone. Now her hair don't really have much spacing, so I'm not going to do her hair at this point. I will wait till she's placed if I decide to do anything with it. Now this piece here where her hair should be, it has a spacing. I am going to go ahead and touch that up with Acorn, and then I'll do the rest later. And this mermaid, for her tail, I'm going to Funky Colors in Dark Matter. Give her some bling. So I do sort of want the bottom portion of her tail to be just a little tiny see-through-ish. So I'm just going to lightly do this. And I can see her top, so I'm going to go ahead and continue with that color for that. Okay, and for her hair, I'm going to do paparazzi and butter him up. So my emotional support dog that doesn't usually like me filming, she's gotten to where she wants to, since she can't sit on my lap while I do this, she's gotten where she wants to lay under my feet. So I've given her a blanket so that she can lay there. And then her sister come over here. She's worried about her because she knows if you have watched, emotional support dog has some issues, so her sister's worried about her, so she'll come over here, or she started to come over here checking on her, and now she's laying with her. Isn't that so sweet? Okay, well, look at this one, and while I do the background here in a minute, I'll try to chat to you. Okay, I'm going to just tell you what I'm going to do, that way I can concentrate on what I'm saying. So I'm just going to go throughout this plate and pick different things of like the greenery, mostly the solids, and the, what are those, corals? Am I saying that? Whatever, though I can't think for certain. Is that what they are? I think so, right? So for the greenery, I'll go between Optimism, B399, Evergreen, B315, and then the corals, mostly Yuletide Yellow, B533. By the way, see, there's something on this stamper too. Well, let me get it where you can see it. Right down there. Don't know what that is. I think it's on this side, but yeah, anyway. Alrighty, so what I've been up to. So I had a recall on my car that I went to tend. The husband's vehicle to get back and forth from work has been a continuous problem. It's been like ongoing, and I'm trying to get extras off, by the way. And my son is a mechanic. He is a young man, but he works really super hard, and I'm not just trying to say these things because he's my kid. I'm getting to a whole point, but he works a whole lot, and then he has a big heart, so he tries to help everybody. So whether it's me or dad or grandma or uncle, sister, he's helped her several times. He does what he can, and his friends too, he'll help them. But I was like, it's gotten to the point like I'm just worried about him because you can just tell that it's just too much. So I've gotten really concerned for his health. Anyway, so I've had to be like, you've got to start saying no to some things because he was helping his dad as well. And I mean, of course I can communicate it with them, but also I'm pressing down to kind of stretch. But I'm like, you cannot keep doing this. And so I have to stay on his behind for it because he'll just go and go, and it's just too much. So, yeah, trying to get that vehicle to chill out for a little bit, hopefully. And we had a birthday, and where was I going with that? I can't find, oh, there it was. And I wanted to see my daughter, so I went to spend some time with her. And yard work, oh my goodness, been trying to get a lot of things tended with that. And, it's so hot, so I just do as much as I can when I can. And so nails and yard work just don't mix. So when I did those, the bling nails, I keep having to pause, so I keep having to get my train of thoughts back. So I'm right-handed, and so some of those blings came off in the glove because I was using gloves, and so I ended up putting those back on, and then the next day, the ones I didn't need to put back on, those started to come off. So they did not last as long as my other charms have. I assume because if they are more heavy feeling, maybe because of the material underneath, I'm not quite sure. So I did really like them, and I actually used that picture to change on my other socials, so like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. That's what that picture is now. But if I did it again, I would have to expect that it's not gonna stay, and it might be like for something special, unless I'm just in the mood to do that. But yeah, I did wish they lasted longer. But so with that being said, I also ended up with a blister. Um, it was My body was real tired. It was just hard on my body. And then, so as you can tell, my nails, they are over half chopped off from what they were because of the yard work. One ended up um, getting broken. So yeah, I ended up chopping those off, and I did get really tired of them banging into things, which is better with them shorter, but I do prefer them longer. But you know, sometimes just the health of them is more important than having the length. And so I did, but I still, as you can see, I still have some. Anyway, so that is what's different with those. And then, so typically I always do my nails on video, and so it just didn't happen this time because, for one thing, I just wasn't able to. It was just like things going on, so it was more difficult to do so. But I also was fiddling with them a lot, because I was trying some different techniques, and then I was trying to mess around with doing the top coat, and which most people say to use one. I found they did much better without the top coat, and so I was like kind of redoing some and just messing with them. So on so I was trying to figure out, let me find that. So like, see that? I was working on trying to learn how to do the bead effect. Um so this one's a bit large. I had this one, there it goes. I have to turn them certain ways for it to really show up. And they're needing redone now. I've had them on for several days now. But I was learning some different things. So I had this thing I was trying to mess with that was like it's supposed to be for doing the bead thing. Yeah, that thing, it was a cheap one, but it didn't do anything. It was crappy. So I was messing with trying to play with the magnets from it, and they would work, but they wouldn't do the bead thing. And through trial and error, I was finding that the like a horseshoe magnet does the best, and I had others when I was like kind of researching that said the same thing. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out what colors I was going to use. So I was trying to get that to sit on top of it, and long story short, the other magnet was attaching to it. So anyway, if basically, I'm going to show you guys next time, but I had to, that's not a greenery, is it? I don't think that one is. I rigged it. So I'm going to show you that sometime so that I can show you how it works. So that is what's happened to my nails. Yeah, and I just haven't been able to film again from the things I wanted to, but I've also been trying to work on myself in multiple ways, but I'm going to save that also for another time. So I'm kind of just putting random tidbits here and there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Thought there's always something, right? Of course, my dog, that's a continuous situation too, and it's going to continue to be. Also, like doing like some different cleaning, but I kind of want to talk about different things in a separate video, kind of more chatty, to where I can concentrate on those things better. I thought that would be fun. I've been trying to figure out something I could do, because it'd help me if I had another, so like my phone, of course, is got lots of the nail stuff, and I don't want to run out of space. Like sometimes it'll be okay, but sometimes I don't have enough space to do like a video I would like to do. And so I'm trying to figure out something else I can use without having to spend a lot of money to do so. That way I'd have the space to do it, kind of like basically have that for just that. So I'm working on that, and hopefully I'll get that figured out soon. And I still have my Let's Talk About It series. I know I have to be like in the mindset for it, just because certain things, I might bring up. I don't know. I have to, like, I want it to be to where I'm not being like keeping myself from like really talking about the things. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I shouldn't say anything or talk about that or whatever. But it's nothing like major. It's just like things we deal with. But it'd make more sense once I get to it. But yeah, I want to be able to do that as well. And I know, and I do apologize, I do have an issue with my train of thought. I've always had that. And I guess, I don't know, it's just one of my struggles. I'm trying to get everything spit out. Okay, so we're going to jump to this nail, and because we're working with like the Mermaid Tails pink, blue, purple, I've pulled out my glitters, so I thought that would be fun. So let's start with this one. So LA Colors Glitter Vibes in Drippin'. I did have a piece of sponge torn off. Now I'm kind of thinking, whatever, I'm just going to plop it. And I'm not going to be done with it yet. I'm still going to do something else to it. But yeah, I think I'm just going to plop it on and basically build it up until I get it the way I want. For the purple, it's going to be still the LA Colors Glitter Vibes in Social Butterfly, and it does actually have some butterflies in there, so I'm going to try to avoid getting those on there. And now that's all that's wanting to come out. Okay, there's some. And for the pink, same thing, and this is City Girl. This one's got some fine glitters in there with it. I think the blue did too. So I'm gonna do this until I get it to the way I want it, and then I'll come back and show you. Okay, I'm gonna give it some time to dry before I finish that, meaning the next step. In the meantime, we're gonna place our mermaids. Oop. And I'll also decide here in a minute if I'm going to do any touch-ups or add anything or so forth. On this one, I did go ahead and bring up the green. So on this I'm going to tilt her a bit. So most of you know that fairies are my top fave, but I do love mermaids as well because of The Little Mermaid. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite movie of all times. And at this point, I don't think I'm going to do any touch-ups. I'm pretty much just waiting for this to completely dry before I finish it. And speaking of The Little Mermaid, we're going to be using this plate from, let me just do this part, BM-XL211. This was the mani I had on when I first started this channel, and I was just trying to do one video to kind of see how it goes or feels, get a feel for it. So yeah, and I used to have this as my profile picture. So anyway, we're going to get this image here. Hopefully I've waited long enough. Oh, didn't have my stamper. I'm going to try to be very careful because, again, I don't know if I waited long enough. Okay. And it was fine without the scales, but of course, I just felt like we gotta have some scales on there. Oh, my goodness. I tell you what, I can't keep a hold of anything. Okay, I'm gonna leave them like so. So I'll start with this one to show you better. She's got the green shimmer. Originally I was going to add the glitter to their tails, but once placed I decided not to. So she's the pink toned one. It's kind of a bit of a purpley pink. Hers is full purple, and then our the different colors, so purple, green. It's kind of, let me see, where did it go? Yeah, it's a green, and then the pink. And then hers is ocean floor. So ocean floor has, when you stamp it over black, it turns like green. When you stamp it over white, it turns blue. It's really cool. So hers could be considered in between blue and green. And then I'll show you those blingies. They have like holographics in them. Also, if you ever have, like, if the video seems to be too dark or light, too bright, anything, feel free to let me know below. I've noticed it depends on what device it's being watched on as to how it turns out. So I can mess with things and then realize, oh, it wasn't that, it was because of what it was watched on. So I had been leaving them alone for a long time, but every now and then I'll kind of mess with them some. And then also with the mic, I do talk quietly. Always have. I just have a quiet voice. I have it turned up because if I turn it up to a certain point, it starts making it very distorted. So I do try to be close to it, so hopefully you can hear me. But I do greatly appreciate you watching. Thank you so very much. I will list the names of the plates and stamping polish I used in the description box. And until the next one, have a very blessed day, my friends. Bye.